Park La Brea, the apartment I've been living in the past couple months, because it is actually a very well-known apartment complex that is probably one of the largest ones on the West Coast. For those of you that are looking for an apartment in LA on the West Coast or interested in living in the largest apartment housing complex on the West Coast, then this video is for you. I'll be going over the pros, the cons, the cost, nearby neighborhoods, overall experience being here, and just a full discretion. This is my experience having visit here the past 2 years, also past 2 months actually living here. So where we're at is the tower apartments. I don't know anything about the townhouses or any of those sorts. If this resonates with you, I wanted to get something of a 2-bed, 2-bath, or just an apartment in the towers, then this probably is a video to watch. Or just honestly, the experience living here in this Park La Brea community is also a relevant video. Those of you that are tuning back in, welcome back. For those of you that are new, welcome. My name is Trisha and I post all things holistic. These past couple of videos have been more of me moving, life in LA, because that's just how things have been. Once things do get settled, as you can see, I'm in the moving process of just having things around. So I'm filming this on the dining table, and once things get settled into my new place, I plan to get back into holistic living, day in the life as a consultant. So subscribe to see more if any of those interest you. Just as a brief introduction of what Park La Brea is, which people call PLB as an acronym: Rancho La Brea, Spanish land grant dating back to 1828. Back in the early 20th century, the land was owned by Hancock family, and it became a prime real estate location in Los Angeles. And then in 1930s, that's when Park La Brea was born, where LA experienced a housing shortage during the World War II, and that's where Metropolitan Life Insurance, known as MetLife, developed Park La Brea to meet housing needs of the growing population, especially for the industry workers in World War II. And then the design and construction evolved from the garden concept to now high-rises that became the largest residential community on the west of Mississippi with over 4,200 units. So now I give you a little introduction of Park La Brea. We'll start by going through topic number 1, which is the pros. So the biggest thing I want to highlight is that it is rent controlled, and apparently they cover heat and gas. I'm not sure about that too much. I don't have control of the bills, and it's relatively a safe area. Like when you walk around outside at 9 p.m., 10 p.m., you see people walking their dogs, on their phone, talking to someone. You don't feel endangered. I don't really have experience walking around too much that late at night, but I've heard that even older, elderly people will be walking around during late nights. So that's a huge plus, especially just living in LA. And then another huge pro is the proximity to anywhere you go for your essentials is very, very, very plentiful. So you have 2 Trader Joe's, one on I think 3rd Street, and then one is near La Brea Avenue, so like on both sides. Same with Ralph's for some reason, and then you have a Smart and Final if you want to save a little, or if you want to be a little bougie. There's also Erewhon next to the Grove, and yes, we're near the Grove. And also LACMA if you want to take some basic photos or just play tourist with your friends or any visitors that you have. And then there's also the farmers market that's next to the Grove, of course. And the great part about being here is you don't have to worry about parking, because you can just walk over and not have to worry about going through the parking structure at the Grove and all that stuff. And for just other essential needs like picking up your medicine, there are 2 CVS's as well on the same side of La Brea Avenue and also on West 3rd Street. And then you have a Target, and honestly more to come. They're continuously developing different stores, and they're remodeling the shopping center where Whole Foods is on West 3rd Street. There's also a Ross if you want to get some last minute furniture, and there's also a Goodwill. So lots of nice places you can just shop and thrift and whatnot. So restaurants that are being developed, coming soon and all that. So I think that's a cool thing because it's always nice to have new restaurants. Don't know how long they'll last, but there have been some I've seen that have been here for years to come, like Yuko's Kitchen, a good old timers. I haven't been to the one downtown, but the one here, it's great. I love getting the cookies there when I can. And then for the gyms, there is one in this complex, but I'll talk about that later. And the other nearby gyms that I have seen and have gone to, well, it's only one, so LA Fitness, very close. I went there until I moved my membership to Gold because I'll be closer to the downtown one in the future. And there's 𝒿𝓅𝓁, and there's also smaller classes like Moto Yoga or Wonder Bar Pilates, and I think there's like a sweat yoga too, and True Fusion is kind of close but not walking distance. So there's so many types of fitness classes that you could take within this area and not have to deal with driving your car. So that's another huge plus. I just love the convenience of that because we all know LA traffic sucks. Another nice thing is there's a lot of greenery here. So when I do go on jogs, I like to be able to see trees and grass and plants and all that. So it's nice when I do that, I can just feel like I'm in nature. Alongside with this complex, because it's so large, there is a bunch of park areas where there's like a fountain or like trails you can just walk after dinner or morning jogs, just whenever. It's very nice. And they also remodeled an area recently. I think it's now more paved, but I didn't pay too much attention to that. Like I do see a lot of kids playing soccer, and there's also like volleyball courts in the area, as well as benches and small little barbecue areas that are like one of those like park ones that aren't like a fancy barbecue. It just does the job kind of thing. And then it's like overall it's very family friendly. You'll see families around all the time, especially during the weekend when they do have events on occasions. Then they'll just take their family around. Sometimes there's like food trucks going on, or just a one singular food truck that happens weekly. Like they post weekly of what food trucks will come, which is always a nice thing because it's just something to do with your family or friends. So I mentioned how I was going to talk about the apartment gym, and that brings me to the con of that. While there's an apartment gym and a pool, that comes with a cost. So from what I remember seeing on the Facebook community, which is a nice thing that they have, is that for the monthly payment of a membership for the pool and gym, it's $75 a month if you commit for 6 months. If you don't want to commit, it's $105 monthly. So it's kind of a lot because you're only going to one location of that, but of course it comes with convenience, right? You don't have to worry about parking, getting your parking validation, or just driving, because there's so much activation energy to go to gym that it's really stressful to think about. So the other con is maintenance will take quite some time because this is a very large complex. There's going to be a lot of people with a lot of needs. Of course, they do have a service desk that does prioritize tickets, but even then, if it's like medium urgency, you won't hear back until like, I would say at least 3 hours, on average 5 hours after. So like one example we had is the AC just stopped working for some reason, and a lot of people's ACs also stopped working. Some people didn't even get maintenance until like 3-4 days after. Some people are still getting maintenance. So I think it also depends on how urgent you are and how just losing my brain today, how pressed you are with wanting to get it done, how much you follow up, which we followed up I think twice, so maybe it escalated things. So now it's working, just cool. But that's something that takes a while. Same with also being in an older complex means there are more issues that do come around. I haven't experienced this, but our roommate experienced leakage in his bathroom. The sink sometimes flood because of the drainage issue. So there's just those things that are really inconvenient, where it would take a while for the maintenance guy to come in, since he has to deal with, you know, other people's problems as well. Kind of brings me into the next topic I'll talk about later, but there's a mandatory trash valet. So you could technically take your trash, go to the basement and dump it there, but there's also a trash valet that will come between 5 to 7, I think it was. They'll just pick your trash up and then throw it away, and then you can just take your trash can back. Guest parking, it's available, but you have to take extra steps, which is to call, I think, dispatch, put your friend's name on the list, so that when your friend checks into security to say, hey, I'm visiting your name at tower, whatever number, or just where at, so they can write you a pass. And with this pass, it'll grant you the ability to stay there until 12 p.m. the next day, which is great, but also inconvenient if you're trying to stay long term, or you're just not trying to get up before 12 to go outside and then ask for a new pass, because like you need to drive out and around the security with your car again to get the pass. You can't just walk to the security and get one. It's done it before, or tried doing it, didn't work, and that's just how the way it is. Really inconvenient, but what can you do? Some of them are lenient and just give you the pass, but other ones do call. Whether the protocol is consistent or not up to me, but it seems like management doesn't train or communicate that too well with their employees. It's what I've gathered over the past like year and a half of being here, visiting, and now staying here. And then security is a joke.